All right, what's going on, everybody? Porter from Roll for New GM. It's been about 2 weeks since our Playtest 1.0 went out for Forsaken Heroes, our new TTRPG that is in development. We put out kind of a little playtest. It had basically a cheap one shot, just testing out the mechanics, seeing what everything did, and we've gotten some feedback back. Feedback done. Feedback finished. And so just going to kind of talk about that, the things that we kind of heard over and over, and talk about the good things. So, again, real fast, Forsaken Heroes, TTRPG being developed by me and a couple of friends. It has a new action economy system, new spellcasting system. Want to make things a little bit easier for GMs, players, while at the same time adding a little bit more ability to use multiple spells, use multiple abilities on your same turn, little give and take. We'll talk about it here a little bit more, but some good things and some bad things. So some of the bad things, looking at some of these feedbacks that I wanted to go over, was just the wording. I think the wording was a big thing. I don't think we did a great job explaining it, but that's what this playtest was for. Because, when you're talking to your friends about something, oh, that makes sense. Trying to put it in a way so that strangers understand what you're trying to say can be difficult. So that's a big thing, is just working on the phrasing, working on the meaning of everything, really laying out what we mean when we use certain words. We understand how important that is, but it's just hard in the moment when you're with people who already kind of understand what you're doing. So that was a big thing. One of the other things, so some stuff in here is stuff that we didn't quite have completely fleshed out for this. So there were things, like our death system, because death's a little bit more punishing in Forsaken Heroes as opposed to other games where you get several chances, you can just get picked back up, easy breezy, continue fighting like it never happened. So that needs to be a little bit better explained and really dove into. Some little things, combat advantages, don't really have a whole bunch of them laid out. And then, just a lot of things that weren't really explained yet. So I think that was the big thing. We've got about a dozen responses so far that we're going through. And a big thing of it was, so like the action points explaining how they work. Do you get them back every turn? Stuff like that. And so that's something that we're going to be looking into. The proficiencies, explaining everything. We did add in pre-generated characters. So we just kind of put it all in and gave it to the players. So like preferred weapon maces. So they get a +1. What does that mean? So stuff like that. And I think that will be expanded upon in the next playtest. So I understand that there were a lot of questions just in the explanations and the meaning and the phrasing and everything like that. A little bit, some layout issues. There were some spells that people were kind of confused on. So it just seems, and people were worried about being overly critical. Please don't be worried about being critical. This is why we're doing this, right? So we had, some conditions and effects. People wanted to understand the death system better. And the spells. So like the spells, I guess we had some duplicates. We had some that just didn't make sense. Which I understand that's going to happen. And so we're going to go through all of these, fix some of these up. And then the last thing was just the class abilities. So that is something that we knew going in probably wasn't explained the best. This, and we say it earlier in the playtest packet too, like, hey, not everything's going to be ready to go right away. And it seemed like people understood that. But so, like with the abilities, you can see here Power Strike, Battle Sense, Kick, Spell Mastery. And so we just kind of, threw it in here because we didn't really have room on the character sheets. And so I can understand, there was some confusion there as well. So I think a big thing, like I said 20 times already, is just the phrasing, the wording, getting all of that down. And I think that's a pretty good spot to be in, if I'm honest. Because now that we've talked about some of the bad, some of the good was the action economy system and the spellcasting system, which I'm really pumped about. That was kind of the whole thing with our playtest, was just kind of putting it into action, seeing how it worked. And so with the action points, at level 1 you start off with 2 action points, level 3 you get 3, level 5 you get 4. Action points are what you spend on your turn. They come back at the beginning of every turn unless otherwise specified. And so like weapon attacks require 2 AP. So basically at level 1 you can attack once, you can cast a spell, you can do this and that. As you level up though, there are different abilities and different spells that require different ability costs. And so potentially this is what we kind of started diving into. So if you're, a level 5 magus with 4 action points, you could potentially cast 2 spells. And so like you have to cast the higher first, and stuff like that. Different spells have different AP costs. You can use multiple on a turn according to the spellcasting rules, except if you're casting the same spell twice, unless otherwise specified. And there are reasons for that, because we just don't want... there are some spells that if you just spammed over and over and over and over, which I theoretically you could, but I mean, where's the fun in that? So we just kind of wanted to add some kind of guidelines to that. So the action economy system, people seem to like. There were some criticisms about the double attack, or just the attacking in general. So we just put on that weapon attacks require 2 AP, whether you're using two-handed weapon, dual wielding, shooting a bow. It doesn't matter. If you're attacking with a weapon, it costs 2. And so that kind of empowers dual wielding a little bit. It kind of makes it relevant, because you can get off that second swing for the same action cost as a normal ability. You don't have to use anything more. And that's something, coming from 5e where you have to use a bonus action to attack with the weapon in your offhand. It kind of just takes dual wielding out of the equation, I feel like. There are still some people who do it, just for thematic reasons and because it's fun. But statistically, it doesn't really make sense. And so we just wanted to make that relevant. The other positive thing was the spellcasting system. Obviously, it still needs some work. We did get a lot of criticism about certain casting target numbers. How do we figure all of that? Honestly, we're just kind of winging it, right? We have to see what works. That's why we're doing the playtest. So each spell has a CT, a casting target, which increases with the level of the spell. So minor spells have lower CT, while higher spells have higher ones. So as a caster, instead of rolling an attack, using a spell slot, doing something like that, you're essentially kind of playing against yourself, right? You have to hit a casting target using your bonuses of a spell to cast it. Otherwise, it just fizzles out. So it can be good, it can be bad. If you're going against a high-powered enemy who has a high AC, and normally they'd be really difficult to hit, all you have to worry about is beating the casting target, because then it's going to hit anyway. The casting target was also kind of a way to move away from spell slots and stuff like that. We wanted it to be more free-flowing, more open, and so the core is there. There was a lot of good feedback. Out of the 12 that we got, I had a note somewhere. I think there was yeah, out of the 12 that we got, there was two that were very critical of it. But everybody else thought it was actually kind of cool and new and added something to it. It just needed to be tweaked a little bit. Um, and I agree. I agree. So, overall, I think the playtest went really well. There is a lot of things that need to be tweaked. We're gonna get to work. We're gonna do it, and I could definitely see having another playtest here in May. Like, I don't think it'll take us too long to go through everything and really kind of uh, iron everything out. It seems that a lot of it's just in the phrasing, as Sterling Archer would say. So we are going to get to work on that. We wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update, see what's going on, and what other people thought. And so I'm really excited. There's a lot of work to be done. We did make this available to everybody. I know that was a couple of people had asked about that. Signing up for a newsletter, I know it can be a little daunting. We just felt it was really important to grow our audience, really stay connected with those people as we're just starting out here. But we also felt that it was important that if you want to try it, you should be able to try it. So if you go to the website right now, astraldoorgaming.com, link in the description below. We just put it right here right there. Real obvious, real easy to do. Download it. Takes you right to, it's just a Google Drive PDF, and you can download the Forsaken Heroes playtest. Now, this is 21 pages. There is a lot of stuff in here. We're kind of, putting all our cards out there, showing you guys what we have, and really just taking a chance. There is a little adventure here at the end with some pre-generated characters that you and your table can use. A couple of battle maps, couple of little fights and whatnot. So go ahead, download it, give it a try. I'll put the link in the description below. And at the very top and at the end here, we have a link for a feedback form, which is where I saw these responses. So if you do try the playtest, I would really appreciate you taking the 5 minutes, fill out the form. It's a couple of basic questions. And yeah, that's I think that's what we got for you. Um, as far as content and stuff, I was doing a lot of, videos 2 to 3 a week. And I've just been kind of watching the responses, kind of talking with everybody, trying to figure out how we're going to work on this. And so it's already the 12th. I am going to try to fit some more content in there, aside from Forsaken Heroes, just more like general tabletop stuff. We made some foam. So we made some like foam miniature stuff. We made this little shack. It needs to be painted still. It's just stuff like that that's kind of cool. This is all stuff from, the dollar store. So maybe some stuff like that. Maybe some stuff about, just basic running your table. Yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. Check out the playtest. Definitely fill out the feedback form. And we'll be having some new content here soon, and probably playtest 1.1 next month. I think. I think this is a good spot that we're in. We could really get rolling. And thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who downloaded. Thank you to everyone who responded. And until next time, friends.